Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Anime here on Reaction and Review. Tonight, guys, I'm checking out an OVA from 2010, and that OVA is Mazinkaiser SKL. I would love to tell you guys anything about this. Apparently, now this is just based on what I read before I started filming here. Mazinkaiser SKL is a spin-off of another series which is simply called Mazinkaiser, which itself was a spin-off of another series which was called Mazinger-verse. I would love to tell you anything else beyond that. Hell, I honestly would love to know what any of that really means for this, but I know nothing of any of these properties. I actually have heard of Mazinger-verse. That's literally as far as my knowledge goes. I didn't know that it had spin-offs. I didn't know that those spin-offs were themselves getting spun off. I believe this is supposed to be like a post-apocalyptic spin on Mazinkaiser. I don't know if that's going to be any good. I do know that this is a 2-episode OVA from 2010. That's literally all that I can, just nail down and say I know that. I have no clue if this thing is going to be good or if it's going to be bad, and the only way I'm going to find out anything about this damn thing is if I shut up and I push play, and I'm going to do that right now. So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out Mazinkaiser SKL. Okay, I have a really dumb question here, because we honestly right now are looking at the opening sequence, which I should mention is really awesome. But also, this opening song is clearly in English. Why do we need titles for it? It just seems sort of out of place to me, guys. I guess I'm kind of used to, subtitles being there, when they're necessary, not when the lyrics are obviously in English. It just sort of throws me off a little bit, guys. So, let me see if I understand this. So, this island has 3 different nations at war. And these 3 nations are not willing to speak to each other, yet all 3 of them are mutually sharing power from the gravity engine on the center of the island. And apparently at no time have any of these nations attempted to shut down the power from said gravity engine to one of the other 2 nations in order to get some kind of a military edge. I'm sorry, guys, that really just doesn't sound right to me. It just sounds a little bit off. I'm really hoping that this thing kind of sort of explains it a little bit better. Right now, it's not making a whole lot of sense to me. Okay, so let me see if I understand this. So all 3 of these warring factions were siphoning power off of this gravity engine. One of them has been completely shut down, yet there's still fear of the gravity engine exploding. But you've already cut a large chunk of the power that was getting sucked from it. They literally shut that plant down. So why is there still fear of the gravity engine going off if it's not being pushed as hard as it was prior? Guys, this thing actually is kind of sort of interesting. I just wish that they would explain some of this shit just a little bit better. So he can merge his 2 pistols into a double-bladed battle axe? Okay, that is really fucking cool, guys. And I honestly was not fucking expecting him to do that with his pistols. That was really kind of cool. Okay, guys, I am going to tell you right now, I am completely lost. I have no clue what the fuck is going on now. We apparently have another, mech who sprouted up, is using the very same power source as the gravity engine, and that apparently is a very bad thing. I don't fucking know, because this thing is not going to give us any kind of detail. I will say, though, that the story, what little fucking coherent story is here, is sort of cool. It's just, I think it might be a little bit better if even half of this shit made even a little bit of sense. Well, guys, that was Mazinkaiser SKL. Let me shut that off. Now, before I start talking about this, I do have to make a correction. And it's a correction I have a funny feeling a lot of you, especially the real impatient ones, have already left comments correcting me on it because you don't know how to watch an entire video. At the start of this, I said that Mazinkaiser SKL was a 2-episode OVA. I was wrong. It's a 3-episode. It's a 3-episode OVA. I was totally wrong, and I am sorry. Now, beyond that, now let's talk about what I just watched. Good God, I don't even know where to start. All right. I'm gonna try to explain writing. That is gonna be a difficult task. You see, guys, after watching all 3 episodes, I've got a few hundred questions I would love to have answered pertaining to the characters, the plot, the meaning behind anything. I know none of that is going to be answered, or I do know what the answer to most of it is going to be. Now, unlike a lot of films where I happen to say that the answer is simply, fuck you, that's why, where they just don't want to explain it at all, I am almost convinced everything here can be answered with, fuck you because it's cool. You could ask anything about the mindless, plotless, pointless bullshit I just watched, and the answer will be, fuck you because it's cool. Alright, and you know what? That is totally fine, because in this instance, it actually is sort of cool. And you can totally just get, fucking, like, swept away in this blissfully fucking retarded garbage, and actually kind of find it charming. Part of that, I think, has to do with the dialogue. The dialogue, at least in the English dub, is monumentally over the top, and it really just sort of brings out exactly how stupid, cheesy, and pointless everything here is, and it actually makes this thing incredibly funny. And I totally understand that they probably weren't shooting for comedy, but even, guys, during the heavy action scenes, the dialogue that was apparent, which I'm going to assume was supposed to sound all tough and was supposed to sound all tough and macho and cool, it comes off sounding cheesy and stupid, and I found myself laughing at it, and I wanted to see what the hell they were going to bring next. There's no way I will ever say that the writing in this thing is good. I will say, though, that it is incredibly entertaining. And that, guys, when all is said and done, that honestly is the one thing you want. You want your film, or in this case, you want your OVA to be entertaining. Now, not only, guys, is the dialogue just completely over the fucking top, the action is too. I kind of knew going in that this was going to be a series involving giant mechs, so I was totally ready for a whole lot of awesome looking mech on mech combat, and we get a ton of that. I was not expecting the rampant amounts of gore that come from that, because you see, apparently, whenever any of these mechs is cut up, sliced up, stabbed, whatever, it has to drain its fluids, and all of their fluids are kind of sort of reddish in nature, so it basically looks as if these mechs are actually bleeding, and it looks kind of sort of gruesome and cool, and once more, it is incredibly over the top, and it makes the whole thing just kind of sort of laughable. Now, not only, guys, do we have all of that going on, but I do have to mention, I watched the English dub of this, and my God, the acting here, they really had to match just the sheer goofiness of the writing and the action and everything else, and our cast hits it perfectly. I, guys, have not heard a dub this fucking done since I watched shit that was dubbed in the 80s. And I do not want you to take that as a jab, because in this instance, that totally works. And the dub here is just so goofy because that was what they were given for a script. There was no earthly way any cast could have taken this script and read it straight and read it seriously. Now, part of that has to do with the fact that the mouth flaps oftentimes leave these big gaping pauses in the middle of dialogue. So we will have our pair of tough guy mech, pilots, and they're talking like extras out of a fucking Charlie Brown special, because they will then suddenly pause in the middle of their sentence, kind of sort of like that. And it's a constant thing. And it's not just them, it's also the people that they fight against. And it's almost always during the big mech fights that we get these massive pauses in there. We get these massive, like, Charlie Brown pauses. And my God, it just makes the thing even funnier. Guys, I totally understand. Most people who watch this are probably going to say, well, I mean, wasn't it, supposed to be an action series? Yes, but guess what? I still found it funny more than anything else, and in this instance, I'm actually going to let that go because I was still thoroughly entertained by it, and when all is said and done, guys, that is what matters. So not only, guys, do we have writing here that is just mind-shatteringly stupid, we have actors who are able to take that and are able to play with it really, really well. Animation here. I'm going to jump to animation. Animation is incredibly smooth and it looks awesome, especially in the mech on mech fights. There is tons and tons of detail and movement here is really good. Guys, this is some fantastic animation. Now, I do have to comment that this also utilizes CG, but it utilizes it sparingly, and it's not as jarring as say in the fucking Berserk movie I watched earlier, this month. It really, guys, doesn't stand out, and it's nowhere near as jarring, which is funny because this thing came out 2 years before that, and it has better utilized CG. That's just a little point. That's totally off topic, but I just sort of wanted to mention that. Music. Guys, this thing here is almost all Japanese fucking metal, and it sounds amazing. I loved the soundtrack for this. I'm probably gonna have to find it and download it because I could not find a single song in there that sucked. Every single song in the score and every song in the soundtrack was fantastic. I loved every second of it. Let's see, what else is there to really talk about? Well, guys, that actually kind of sort of covers all of it. So, guys, when all is said and done, am I able to recommend Mazinkaiser SKL? Yeah, kind of. You see, you really have to be into, action that goes far, far beyond fucking mindless and goes right into absolutely retarded, and you have to be able to enjoy that. And you also have to be willing to laugh at just how cheesy and stupid this whole thing is. And if you're able to dig all of that, then by all means check it out. This thing here, guys, I honestly had no fucking clue what I was getting into, and what I wound up getting into is something that was really, really cheesy and stupid and ultimately funny, and I loved it for that. Now, Mazinkaiser SKL came off the Amazon wishlist. The person who sent it in was Mickey, and you can find Mickey's YouTube channel at youtube.com/user/ratchetcommand. Please, guys, swing over there and check it out. Mickey, I thank you. Again, I had no idea what I was getting into on this, and the only reason why I put it on the wish list is because a lot of people had asked me to cover it. I did not know anything about it going in. I still barely know anything after watching it because, well, the plot is just that absolutely, thick and stupid at the same time. But I still wound up really, really enjoying it. And it'll probably make more sense on a second viewing, and that will probably happen really soon. And Mickey, again, I thank you for sending it in. This sucker here is going to have a very, very cheesy, prominent place in my Blu-ray collection. Now, as I stated at the start, this thing is a spin-off of a different series which was simply called Mazinkaiser. I'm going to go look into that. I'm going to see if I can find anything on that and maybe even watch a couple episodes, because I actually looked into it while I was watching this, and that one there's only about 7 episodes long. I'm definitely going to have to see if I can find those anywhere. Anyway, guys, with that, we come to the close of another reaction and review. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.